Why would God command something in one place of the Torah and then forbid it in another? In the Torah portion of Tetzaveh, the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, is told to wear a garment woven from wool and linen together. But elsewhere in the Torah, that very mixture is prohibited. So which is it? Is God contradicting himself, or is there a deeper logic woven into the fabric of the Torah? Let's explore this idea together in this week's 5-Minute Torah. Shalom and blessings from Shalom, Macon, the place where disciples of Yeshua learn, connect, and grow. I'm Darren, and before I get into the 5 minutes of my 5-minute Torah commentary, I just want to say that this week's video is going to be a little longer than normal because I have a lot to say, including a special announcement that I want to share with you. But for now, let's cover a few quick facts about this week's Torah portion. This week, we are studying the 20th Torah portion and the 8th portion of the book of Exodus. We are in the portion of Tetzaveh, Exodus 27:20 through 30:10, and here are the 3 things that you need to know about it. Number 1, Bigdei Kahuna, garments of the Kohanim. This week's Torah portion is almost entirely focused on the details of how to make the priestly garments. Our portion says, these are the garments that they are to make: a breastplate, an ephod, a robe, a tunic of checkered work, a turban, and a sash. They are to make holy garments for your brother Aaron and his sons, so that he may minister to me as a Kohen. This is Exodus 28:4. In this passage, we read about 3 specific garments that every priest, every Kohen wore, along with 3 special items that were only worn by the Kohen Gadol, the high priest. These 6 types of garments are as follows: the ketonet, a linen tunic or a long shirt, all Kohanim wore these. The mitznefet, the linen turban or the head covering, all Kohanim wore these. The avnet, the sash to go around his waist, all Kohanim wore these. The me'il, the robe-like garment worn over the ketonet, this is only worn by the Kohen Gadol. The ephod, similar to an apron worn over the me'il, this is only worn by the Kohen Gadol. And then the choshen, the breastplate attached to the ephod, this is only worn by the Kohen Gadol as well. Besides these 6 items, the Kohanim wore 2 additional items: the tzitz, the golden headpiece only worn by the Kohen Gadol, and the michnasayim, the linen pants worn by all Kohanim. At any one time, the regular Kohen would only wear 4 components: the tunic, the turban, the belt, and the pants. At times, however, the Kohen Gadol could wear up to 8 components, including the ephod, the breastplate, the robe, the tunic, the belt, the turban, the crown, and the pants. Number 2, Choshen HaMishpat, the breastplate of judgment. The Choshen HaMishpat, or the breastplate of judgment, according to Exodus 28:30, is only worn by the Kohen Gadol. It was a piece of woven cloth made of 3 colors of dyed wool: techelet, argamon, and tola'at. It was linen and gold threads. It was folded in half with 12 precious stones set into its gold mounts, with each stone representing one of the 12 tribes. These stones were arranged in 4 rows as follows. The types of stones I've listed here are according to the translation of the Temple Institute in Jerusalem, from right to left. Ruby for Reuben, emerald for Simeon, topaz for Levi, carbuncle for Judah, sapphire for Issachar, quartz crystal for Zebulun, jacinth for Dan, agate for Naphtali, amethyst for Gad, chrysolite for Asher, onyx for Joseph, and opal for Benjamin. Inside the fold of the material were the Urim and Tumim, 2 mysterious objects that were somehow used as lots that gave the Kohen Gadol divine wisdom in situations where human reasoning was unable to determine the proper course of action. And number 3, the me'il, the holy robe. The me'il, or robe of the Kohen Gadol, was entirely of techelet, turquoise-dyed wool. Around the bottom, it was decorated with pomegranate shapes made from the 3 colors of wool discussed previously. In between each pomegranate was a solid gold bell. Exodus 28 says that Aaron and his sons are to have the pomegranates and bells on the robe so that, quote, its sound shall be heard when he goes into the holy place before the Lord and when he comes out, so that he does not die. Verse 35. Many have talked about the high priest wearing these garments into the Holy of Holies so that the other priests could hear him still moving and be sure that he had not died. However, this passage doesn't mention the Holy of Holies, only the holy place. The high priest was never allowed to wear these garments into the Holy of Holies. The only garments he could wear when he came into the most holy place were his simple white garments. The lavish, ornate garments he normally wore were to hold the respect of the people he served. When he entered the presence of the King of Kings, he came with humility. Okay, at the beginning of this video, I said I wanted to share something special with you. Well, this week I hit a milestone that I've been working toward for the last 2 or 3 years. I finally finished the manuscript for a new book I've been working on, and I'm super excited. It's on the topic of Messianic Jewish prayer. If you feel lost when it comes to prayer, particularly Messianic Jewish prayer, then this book was written with you in mind. It will give you the tools you need to connect with God on an intimate level and on a consistent basis. Currently, it's with my editor, but God willing, in a few months, I'll be able to make an announcement about its release. In the meantime, feel free to pick up one of my other books, great companions to your weekly study routine. This week's Torah commentary is called The Beauty of Boundaries and comes from my book, 5-Minute Torah, Volume 1. After giving instructions for making the oil for the temple menorah, the Torah portion of Tetzaveh is primarily focused on the consecration of the Kohanim, or the priests. This consecration includes how the priestly garments, particularly those of the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, were to be tailored. The garments of the Kohen Gadol were to be unique in every way. One garment in particular, the ephod, was to be made of a special combination of various materials. And they shall make the ephod of gold, of blue, and purple, and scarlet yarns, and of fine twisted linen, skillfully worked. This is Exodus 28:6. These components, gold thread, blue yarn, purple yarn, scarlet yarn, and fine linen, were all to be woven together by an expert craftsman to create something beautiful and unique for the man who would serve in the most holy position on earth. Since the gold was to be used in the fabric itself, creating this gold thread would have been a challenging endeavor. The blue, purple, and scarlet yarn would have been made from the wool of sheep or goats that had been dyed in a rich and vibrant color. The linen, made from the fibers of flax stalks, however, would have been either left in its natural color or bleached to appear a pure white. Once all these materials were woven together, the ephod would have taken on a color, texture, and pattern that would set the Kohen Gadol apart from all the other Kohanim designated to serve the Lord. A problem arises, however, when we get to a prohibition recorded for us in Deuteronomy. It says, "You shall not wear cloth of wool and linen mixed together," Deuteronomy 22:11. According to the Torah, wool and linen are not permitted to be woven together. So how does this apply to the garments of the Kohen Gadol? In situations like this, we apply the principle in the Talmud taught to us by Reish Lakish. Any place where you find a positive mitzvah and a prohibition that clash with one another, if you can find some way to fulfill both, that is preferable. And if that is not possible, the positive mitzvah will come and override the prohibition. This is from Tractate Nazir 41a. Therefore, the positive commandment to blend the fibers to create the ephod for the Kohen Gadol overrides the general prohibition of not mixing wool and linen together. Why then does the Torah prohibit the mixture of wool and linen to begin with? Is there a chemical or physical reaction that takes place between wool and linen? Possibly, but that's not likely the reason for this prohibition. Most likely, this prohibition involves boundaries of distinction between the Kohen Gadol and everyone else. The Lord has designated him as the most holy man on the face of the earth. But if the common Israelite or even the other Kohanim are able to wear garments that are similar or the same as his, then his holiness, his set-apartness, is diminished. This is also why the Torah prohibits the replication of the incense that is to be used in the tent of meeting. To replicate it and to use it for purposes outside of the context of the holy service is to profane it and make it common. Many times we innocently attempt to replicate what we see in the beauty of something that was intended to be holy and distinct. However, as we've noted, when lines of distinction are blurred, holiness is lost. In order for something to remain holy, it cannot become common. Peter applied this principle to living a life that is holy. As obedient children, do not be conformed to the passions of your former ignorance, but as he who called you is holy, you also be holy in your conduct, since it is written, "You shall be holy, for I am holy." 1 Peter 1, verses 14 through 16. When we try to bring holiness down to our level, then holiness is lost. But it is also lost when we don't live up to that level of holiness that is expected of us. Holiness is being unique and set apart. Disciples of Yeshua should reflect the appropriate measure of holiness in our lives. At the end of my last video, I asked you if you were dropping crumbs of truth to whet people's spiritual appetites, or if you were dropping bombs of truth and enjoying the carnage. I want to encourage you to check out a message I recently taught called You Were a Stranger. It's about how to share the truth you've discovered and draw people close to Torah instead of driving them further away. It's worth your time. Just click the link right here to check it out.